The girl went to the small stadium to watch a football match. While the adults were sitting in the stands, she went to play with other children, only a few dozen meters away. The woman watched her from the stands, but when she turned around for just a few seconds, her daughter was already nowhere to be found. The police quickly got involved. From the first day of the investigation, they managed to uncover many disturbing facts. However, the girl's fate remained unknown for almost 30 years. Just a few weeks ago, the police suddenly solved this mystery. Morgan Nick was born on September 12, 1988 in Ozark, Arkansas, a small American town. After Morgan's birth, her family grew and she soon had a younger brother and sister. Morgan was very close with her siblings, and they loved spending time together. They often played for hours, and her younger siblings looked up to her. When Morgan learned to read, she would practice with children's books and enjoyed reading stories to her little brother before bedtime, becoming a role model for her siblings. Morgan also loved animals and, despite her young age, had already told her parents that she wanted to become a veterinarian when she grew up. In elementary school, Morgan joined the Girl Scouts, where she participated in various crafts, nature activities, and spent time with other girls. When she was 6, her parents decided to divorce, but Morgan and her siblings still spent significant time with their father. In early summer 1995, family friends invited Morgan to a game in a neighboring town called Alma. Although initially hesitant due to the drive, her mother eventually decided to take her. They went together, believing it would be a fun outing for both of them. At the small stadium, around 300 people gathered, including parents of the players and their friends. While the adults were sitting in the stands, Morgan went off to play with other children just a few dozen meters away. Her mother kept an eye on her from the stands, but after briefly turning her attention away, Morgan was suddenly nowhere to be seen. The police were called immediately and began investigating from the first day, uncovering several disturbing facts. However, Morgan's fate remained unknown for nearly 30 years. Just a few weeks ago, the police unexpectedly revealed the truth behind her disappearance. The woman was looking for her friends, and they sat down to watch the game. However, Morgan quickly got bored with the spectacle and soon noticed 2 friends' children playing nearby. They invited her to play with them near the stadium, catching fireflies. Initially, her mother was hesitant to let her go. It was already dark, and they were visiting this city for the first time, making her concerned for her daughter's safety. However, familiar women assured her that their children often played near the stadium, convincing her it was safe. In the end, she allowed Morgan to go, and the girl ran off with the other children. They played near a small hill within her mother's view, and she checked on her daughter periodically. After about 15 minutes, the baseball game ended, and the players began joining their parents in the stands. Morgan's mother looked away for just a few seconds, and when she glanced back to where her daughter had been playing, Morgan was gone. The 2 children she had been with returned, but Morgan was not with them. A woman approached the children and asked where her daughter was. The kids explained that when they returned to the stadium, they had stopped to empty the sand from their shoes at a car in the parking lot. Morgan had been at the back of the car while the others were at the front. After finishing with their shoes, they headed back to the stadium, but Morgan was nowhere to be seen. They assumed she had waited by the car for her mom and didn't think much of it. The girl's mother looked in the parking lot and spotted their car, but Morgan was nowhere to be seen. She approached the vehicle, checked inside, but still couldn't find her daughter. Panic set in, and she returned to the children, hoping they could shed light on Morgan's disappearance. She frantically questioned them, but they had no idea where Morgan could be. However, They did mention seeing a man in the parking lot, raising concerns about his potential involvement. He was standing next to a red pickup truck, looking toward the stadium, and at one point, he even approached the children, saying something to them, but they couldn't remember his exact words. They did recall that he spoke with a village accent. Suspecting that this man might be involved in her daughter's disappearance, Morgan's mother immediately called the police. Officers arrived within 6 minutes and began interviewing the children. Through this conversation, they gathered more details about the man near the stadium. Based on the information collected, the police created a profile of the suspect, a white male between 23 and 30 years old, around 180 centimeters tall, with a small beard, dark hair, and noticeable teeth. The children also provided details about his vehicle, an old red pickup truck with Arkansas license plates featuring a white camper shell in the back. This vehicle was significant because it could easily conceal a small person, making it a possible method for abducting a child. The police noted another odd detail. The man described was much shorter than his vehicle, suggesting he may not have been well suited to driving it. This raised suspicion that the man could be involved in Morgan's disappearance and might have used the truck's camper shell to hide the girl. The children mentioned that the man was wearing only jeans, with no shirt. Despite extensive questioning of the crowd, none of the 300 attendees remembered anything strange or suspicious, leaving the investigation at a standstill. The search efforts near the stadium yielded no results, and the officers expanded their search across the streets of the city. Despite their efforts, no trace of Morgan was found that night. Her mother, overwhelmed with grief and shock, refused to return home, choosing instead to stay at a fire station for the night. By the next day, the search gained momentum as news of Morgan's disappearance spread quickly. Dozens of volunteers came forward to assist in the search efforts. Soon, the FBI and state police joined the investigation. They used helicopters to search the area and created a sketch of the suspect based on descriptions provided by Morgan's friends. These sketches, along with Morgan's photo, were distributed throughout the city and neighboring towns in hopes that someone would recognize the man. Initially, authorities believed that Morgan might have simply wandered off and gotten lost. However, as nearly a full day passed with no sign of her, it became clear that the situation was much more serious. The day after Morgan's disappearance, the police began receiving alarming reports from other parents. One mother shared that just hours before the football game, a man in a red pickup had tried to lure her 4-year-old daughter into his vehicle near a Walmart. Fortunately, she intervened before anything could happen, and the man fled. The mother provided a description of the suspect, which matched the sketch of the man believed to be involved in Morgan's abduction. The day after Morgan's disappearance, another disturbing report came from a witness in Fort Smith, a town near Alma. The witness described how a man attempted to lure a 9-year-old girl into a public restroom, but she managed to escape. The description of this man matched the sketch drawn based on Morgan's friends' accounts. This pointed to the possibility that the suspect may have tried to abduct other children, or even succeeded in similar crimes in the past. The police intensified their search for the red pickup and reviewed unsolved cases in nearby towns. Over the next few weeks, investigators received hundreds of tips about possible suspects, but they were either unable to establish any connections or determine the individuals were not involved. Simultaneously, the police combed the area around the stadium, collecting various items such as cigarette butts, pills, and bottles, all of which were sent for DNA analysis. Unfortunately, despite these efforts, the investigation struggled to find any solid evidence linking the items to Morgan's disappearance. Regarding the red pickup, the police department received nearly 250 calls from witnesses across various cities. Many reported seeing similar vehicles, but the issue was that a large number of people in the state owned the same model of truck, amounting to thousands of potential matches. The investigators made efforts to check each owner of the vehicle, but despite their extensive search, they were unable to confirm the involvement of any of the truck owners in Morgan's disappearance. Two weeks passed until the police received an unexpected call from a man in a town called Stadgard, about 3 hours away from Alma. He reported that he noticed a suspicious individual trying to break into his car. When the homeowner approached, the suspect fled, but not before the witness saw the man holding a small girl in his arms. The police showed the witness a photo of the suspect linked to Morgan's disappearance, and he confirmed that the man and the child resembled the suspect and Morgan. The inspectors quickly organized a large operation in Stuttgart, covering an area of about 10 square kilometers, sending dozens of officers to the scene. Morgan's parents rushed to the city, hoping for their daughter's safe recovery. Hundreds of volunteers, along with the police, searched the city and surrounding areas. Helicopters scanned the area from above, and search dogs tried to trace Morgan's scent from her belongings. Despite 16 hours of intense searching, they could not locate Morgan, leading the police to begin doubting the witness's account. The man underwent 2 polygraph tests, and both times it was determined he was lying. Although he initially insisted he was telling the truth, he eventually admitted to fabricating the story. He acknowledged seeing someone near his car but did not look closely at their face, and there was no girl with them. Ultimately, he was arrested for providing false evidence, which wasted nearly a full day of the investigation and cost $1,000 from the police budget. It's unclear if the man received any penalty, but typically such an act could result in a fine or short jail time. Despite this setback, investigators did not stop searching for Morgan. They brought in 17 additional officers and sifted through over 500 leads, but none led to her discovery. Morgan's parents also continued their search, but hope diminished as months passed. A year after her disappearance, Morgan's mother started a non-profit organization dedicated to finding missing children, still holding on to hope, but with no breakthroughs in her daughter's case. Morgan's mother shifted her focus towards helping other families who face similar tragedies, channeling her efforts into educating parents and children about potential dangers. She emphasized that risks could arise at any moment in life, and it was crucial for families to be prepared and informed. Through her non-profit organization, she provided resources, support, and awareness about missing children and safety precautions, all while continuing to search for her daughter, never giving up hope despite the passing years. Over the next few years, the police continued to follow up on leads and question potential suspects, but without success. In 2021, 6 years after Morgan's disappearance, the FBI released an age-progressed image of her. Several major television networks covered the case, leading to an increase in tips. Though many led to dead ends, one tip stood out. Someone claimed that Morgan's body was buried in a section of a house in Boonville, a town an hour away from Alma. The police were intrigued by this lead, as the individual provided very specific details about the case, despite investigators keeping some information private. In early 2002, authorities obtained a warrant to search the house in question. They brought search dogs and thoroughly examined the entire property, but no traces of Morgan were found. After this, the case remained stagnant for nearly a decade. In 2010, authorities received another tip about a possible location where Morgan might have been held. The police, pursuing leads, ventured into a neighboring state to investigate a new potential location, but once again found no evidence that Morgan had been there. In 2017, they returned to search another property, which was tied to a man incarcerated for crimes against children and suspected in another case. Despite thorough investigations, they found no evidence. A 2019 documentary revisited the case, showing the red pickup truck image that had originally been linked to Morgan's abduction. Despite capturing an image of the red pickup truck from a camera during the game, the poor quality made it impossible to extract crucial details. Following the release of a documentary in 2019, police asked the public for any leads regarding the truck's owner. Although fresh tips came in, no progress was made until 2021, when investigators identified their primary suspect for the first time in Morgan's disappearance. However, the case remained unresolved despite these advancements. Billy Linz became a person of interest in the Morgan Nick investigation within the first week of her disappearance in 1995. Though initially suspected due to his previous criminal record involving a young person and owning a red pickup, similar to the one described in the case, police couldn't find a direct connection between Linz and Morgan's disappearance. He also successfully proved his alibi during questioning. Now, almost 30 years later, detectives have once again turned their attention to Linz, re-evaluating the evidence as they continue to seek answers. With advancements in modern DNA technology, investigators hope to find any trace of Morgan in Billy Linz's vehicle. However, there were complications. Billy Linz passed away in 2000 during an arrest for attempting to kidnap another girl just 2 months after Morgan's disappearance. He had tried to abduct the child near a store, but quick action by the girl's mother led to his arrest. Despite his death, Linz remains a suspect in Morgan's case, and investigators continue to seek conclusive evidence. At the time of Billy Linz's death at 70, 5 years after being incarcerated, police had no knowledge of the whereabouts of his red pickup truck, which had been connected to multiple crimes. After decades, investigators traced the vehicle through various owners following Billy's arrest. In a surprising turn, they eventually found the truck still intact. This discovery reignited hopes of linking the truck to Morgan's disappearance using modern forensic methods. The police found several hair strands in the vehicle, which matched Morgan's description. They sent these to a lab in Texas equipped with advanced DNA analysis tools. After 8 months of research, scientists successfully extracted a DNA sample from the hair and compared it with Morgan's mother's DNA. This breakthrough gave the investigators new hope in solving the case after decades of uncertainty. The discovery of Morgan's hair in the suspect's truck could potentially be the key to finally bringing closure to her family. The DNA results indicated a close familial relationship between the hair found in the truck and Morgan's mother. This confirmed that the hair likely belonged to Morgan, as none of her other close relatives could have been in the vehicle. In October 2024, police held a press conference declaring Billy Linz responsible for Morgan's murder, believing firmly in his involvement. After 29 years of searching, authorities no longer hold out hope that Morgan is alive. This development brings a somber conclusion to her long unsolved disappearance. According to the investigation, Billy likely killed Morgan in the early days after her abduction, but the location of her body remains a mystery. Despite reopening the case, the police continue their search for her remains. Without any leads from Billy himself, this task seems nearly impossible. Additionally, detectives are still investigating whether Billy was involved in other cases of child abduction or murder. the tragic mystery of Morgan Nick's disappearance continues to haunt those who seek justice for her. At the time of Morgan Nick's disappearance, Billy Linz was already 70 years old, with a history of suspicious behavior that included multiple attempts to abduct other children. Police believe that his military experience, coupled with his history of violence, could indicate that he committed more crimes than previously known. Billy had been under suspicion for years, but only recently was confirmed to have been connected to Morgan's case. The authorities continue their investigation, hoping to uncover his potential involvement in other unsolved cases. The authorities decided to rename the Amber Alert system to Morgan Alert in honor of the missing girl. Morgan's mother continues her mission to help other families through her nonprofit organization, which focuses on assisting with child abduction cases. This work has been a source of healing for her, though she still holds on to the hope that one day Morgan might be found alive. Share your thoughts on this story in the comments, and if you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you for watching.